Give me money. Hi, Ray, Billy.
Yes, come on.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Woof. This is Woof Reacts, and
this is Billi reporting live.
And today we're here with Melza J. He is a rapper, a producer, actor. He does it all, and he's also a pretty good cook. Yeah. So today we're gonna be checking out a song called 2 a.m. It's by a rapper named Shah and a guy named Zeeshan Ali. He's a singer. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Coke Studio, Season 15.
But turn on the captions, Melza. They'll help.
ਧੋਖਾ ਹਰ ਪਾਸੇ ਦਿਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੋਰ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਬੁਲੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਝੂਠੇ ਹਾਸੇ ਹਾਏ ਧੋਖਾ ਹਰ ਪਾਸੇ ਦਿਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੋਰ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਬੁਲੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਝੂਠੇ ਹਾਸੇ ਲੋਕੀ ਨਫ਼ਰਤ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਐਕਸਪਾਇਰੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਸੱਚੀਆਂ ਮੁਹੱਬਤਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਡਾਇਰੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ मुजस्मे बना के खड़े करो लैला मजनू दे पूरे शहर च सच्चे आशकां दी याद विच शायरी होनी चाहिदी रूहां वाले प्यार जेड़े करदे सी लो जिस्मत पर सीरत ते मरदे सी लो यारा चले गए ने ओ दीवाने बुझ गए सारे ओ परवाने बन गया चाइल्ड्स पे प्यार एक जोक ज़हन च रखा ना मैं गल करा स्ट्रेट प्यार ते रह गया है बस गिव एंड टेक दिलां दी सौदेबाजी बन गया के इत्ते शक्लां ने सोहणियां पर दिल सारे फेक आदत पै गई पैसे खाण दी टके दी ना रही कीमत जान दी इस दुनिया ते किवें मैं यकीन करा घुमदा शैतान पाके खल इंसान दी स्टार शाह how did you know ਧੋਖਾ ਹਰ ਪਾਸੇ ਦਿਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੋਰ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਬੁਲੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਝੂਠੇ ਹਾਸੇ ਹਾਏ ਧੋਖਾ ਹਰ ਪਾਸੇ ਦਿਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੋਰ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਬੁਲੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਝੂਠੇ ਹਾਸੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਇਆ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਨਾ ਸਮਾਨ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਸੱਚੇ ਆਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਹੀ ਰੱਬ ਨੇ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਇਹ ਜਹਾਨ ਸੀ ਬੜਾ ਆਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਸੀ ਬੜਾ ਆਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਸੀ ਝੂਠੇ ਲੋਕ ਝੂਠੇ ਲਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਹਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਲੱਗੇ ਲਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਵਾਅਦੇ ਕਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਿਭਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ बेकदरा न ला बैठी आयो आज ओ सता रहे ने जो दुनिया ते तुम्हें हंसी ना मिट्टी च मिला रहे दस की दुनियादारी शे यार मोहब्बत सारी शे चाहत वाले मर नहीं सकते चाहत ऐसी प्यारी शे यार तो सदके यार तुम्हारी कायम दायम इश्क खुमारी जिथे यार दी गल आ जावे उथे दुनिया की हुंदी ਮੁਹੱਬਤ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਏ ਚੱਲਿਆ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਜੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਏ ਹੋਰ ਮੁਹੱਬਤ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਏ ਮੁਹੱਬਤ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਏ ਧੋਖਾ ਹਰ ਪਾਸੇ ਦਿਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੋਰ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਬੁਲੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਝੂਠੇ ਹਾਸੇ ਹਾਏ ਧੋਖਾ ਹਰ ਪਾਸੇ ਦਿਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੋਰ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਬੁਲੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਝੂਠੇ ਹਾਸੇ
That was hot.
I like that.
Yeah, I
Oh,
like
man.
that.
It's a little context to start. The language is Punjabi. Punjabi MC. I don't know if you remember that guy. Same language.
Yeah.
You know, same language, Punjabi. Star Shah is the rapper. The other guy, Zeeshan Ali, is the singer. Man, I have to say, big thank you to the amazing, beautiful Black artists that this country has produced that created fucking R&B and the style of singing, you know, that comes after World War II, you know, combines elements of pop, gospel, blues, jazz with a strong beat and that emotion, right? And that type of like singing, rapping, that thing, you know, Black artists have introduced that to the world, and now it's like a dominant thing that people are sort of holding on to and working with it.
Right.
And it's crazy to me that the other guy, he sings a form of music called ghazal. And the ghazal is like an evening form of music from the 12th century where you sort of calmly sit down and you sing to soothe people. And in this case, the guy singing the ghazal is trying to soothe the angry guy. You know, there's two sort of, I think it's a really interesting fusion, you know?
That's where a lot of music was born from. You have the struggle of those working in the cotton fields, and that's what they did to soothe each other.
Mhm.
You did have the ones that definitely wanted to rebel and couldn't because of the situation they were in. And you had those that said, well, all we can do now is be out here together, sing together, be one with each other until we get out of the situation. So that whole, you know, devil on this shoulder, the angel on this shoulder, I mean, that video displayed that like perfectly.
First, Wolf, in response to your expression of gratitude on behalf of our ancestors, I'd like to say you're welcome.
Yes.
And Melza, I think that's super interesting that you brought that up, right? And that about music serving a purpose,
Yeah.
right? And music being vibration, and music can be used to for good, quote unquote, or for evil.
Yeah.
And we indeed see that it being used in a matter of expression, of frustration, but also to soothe. And I think when I'm looking at the visual, as particularly towards the end of the video, I'm seeing in all of the windows this display of love and care between people that I think on a very visual level helps to soothe as well. The texture of voice of both of these singers is absolutely phenomenal. They have a new follower in me. The way that they express themselves, the way that they express these lyrics was just out of this world. And also you mentioned, as you mentioned in other videos, the evening music, right? The setting was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
What I'm learning now is that these are recorded live.
These are all live.
In real settings. And what a beautiful city or enclave or wherever this is.
Yeah.
If y'all in the listening and watching audience can name that city, we'd love to know. But yes, as a form of evening music in the evening, expressing these thoughts and these feelings was just. I also want to say that the heavily affected flute, like the synth out flute
Yeah.
that opened the song, and then you heard it throughout the song, was amazing. And also the bass was slapping throughout the song. I'm a sucker for a good bass line. So
Nasty.
kudos to the instrumentalist on this track.
I think that's that fusion, you know.
Mm.
You put a flute on a track with some drums, and it's just, then you had like the percussion back there, and that's what I was really, because I'm a percussionist at heart, so I'm listening to a lot of the background, not just the drum with the bass and the snare, but I'm listening to the shakers and things like that complemented that flute so well. And yeah, I like what Coke is doing with that, definitely.
The flute is really interesting, right? That particular type of flute, you know, it comes from the region, in this region, and the flute has been used very heavily lately in the last 10 years in like hip hop and R&B, I've noticed.
Yeah.
And them using the flute here, I feel like they're trying to reclaim it, you know, because they're trying to fuse stuff from the region into the new type of music. It's the way for them to reclaim some of this, like, you know, musical ancestry they have. And it works. And, you know, some of it's washed out. I get it. They're trying to make things happen. But it sounded really beautiful.
Oh, they made it happen with that.
Yeah, to have a flute player do a little mini solo, like you don't hear that in songs anymore. Like that's insane, right?
I think as far as hip hop and R&B is concerned, stateside, we haven't seen that since that famous violin player was like on all of the rap songs. And I think that your idea of like a reclamation, it serves like locally, right, to this particular culture and this particular music tradition. But I think it serves universally as well, you know, that us in the United States with a particular music culture and tradition can recognize the importance as it's being played in another style in another country, you know.
Yeah.
The sort of collective consciousness and universality of these instruments and these ideas and these concepts, while also maintaining an individuality and recognizing the beauty of our differences.
Yeah.
I think like a couple of years ago, well, I'm gonna say more than a couple of years ago now, because I would say 2017, 16, 17, like when Afro beats really started to be prevalent in a lot of music. To me, that's when I started to really enjoy music again. I mean, I always enjoyed music for years and years and years, but once I started diving into like a lot of what, like the Afrobeat sound, like, I mean, Justin Bieber started using it and really brought it mainstream, and it's like, you know, that gave a lot of exposure to artists overseas that was doing it, and gave them an avenue to actually be able to present that music. And when it hit, it was like everywhere. And I was like, I love it, because there's so many different elements to the songs that they stopped using for like a long time.
Yeah.
So as a producer, you know, to hear certain things in the track, you sit back and you be like, how did they make that work? I mean, that's how I feel.
No, I get it. Yeah.
At work, and I sit and I analyze, and I'm like, hey, I love it.
You were working with other other companies that are doing this in other parts of the world in a similar fashion. Can you expand on that a little bit?
So in Bulgaria, it's the same way like with Coke putting that out. There's not a lot of record labels there, or that even has an interest to go there. So you have these artists that have some backing behind or traction on them, they have no outlet. So just like Coke is doing here, Nestle was doing in Bulgaria, a couple other places, but I had an artist fly here from Bulgaria. Her name was Luana. And we did a song with Flo Rida. We did a song with Flo Rida, then I had a remix with it with Snoop. And I was just wondering, I'm like, picking her brain. I'm like, well, how, you're independent. She's like, yeah, she's like, but overseas, where I'm from, instead of it being, Def Jam and this, we have our brands, Nestle, Pepsi, Coke, things like that. And they come to us and they say, hey, I believe in you. Here's money. Let's do a project together and let's make it happen. So same thing with the Coke series. And I think that was back in, it was a little while ago. It was back when Flo Rida was like really, really hot. I was pretty happy to have that placement.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting. It feels like these outposts of these larger corporations are the new record labels. And I think about places like Romania where everything's state sponsored and there's not really a manner for up and coming and emerging artists to sign on to BMI or get an ASCAP and get royalties. So they're trying to find like other avenues to continue their art, but also like reach out to the rest of the world. So it's just a very interesting discussion. And, on one hand, it's like, yes, like these major corporations like Coke and Coke Studio, they're investing in amazing artists like these two on the video. And also investing in in this case, the Pakistani music culture, like keep investing until it pops, right? Like I feel like, we had the Punjabi MC, we had the like Punjabi MC sample on like Timbaland tracks, like, but it never blew up right now. Now we have a lot of like South Asian artists, touring the US and all of that. Like I feel like it's happening a little bit in like places like the UK, but it hasn't yet happened here. And I feel like Coke is just like we're just waiting on the right moment for it to blow up. And then when it does, the infrastructure is already there. We've already invested in them. There's an archive of, our support.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's again, it's a need for it. I mean, when you hear the type of stuff that gets traction these days, a lot of people that are, I'm gonna say musically inclined, they don't want to hear a lot of stuff that's being pushed. So what you just said, when it's time for these artists to get that notoriety, I think it's going to be like a backlog of just good music that could come out or that could be searched that people will really listen to and be like, oh, this is a breath of fresh air. Especially like with those artists there, like I'm listening to that and I'm reading along with what they were saying, and I'm just like, oh, like with me, it don't have to be English for me to enjoy it. And I teach that to my kids all the time. I'm like, when you listen to music and you listen to every element of what's going on, how does it make you feel? Not just what that artist said, because I don't want them to pay attention to a lot of the lyrics that are in the songs that we have that are mainstream. But when I was on tour, we were doing originals and we were doing covers and all type of stuff, like 2.5 hours on stage. And we wanted to make the show as fun as possible for, the crowd. So I remember they asked me to do Soulja Boy when it first came out. And I'm like, oh, I really don't like the song. And they were like, well, the crowd's like, they're loving it. So I performed it for the first time. And when I tell you I had fun, doing the song, not
Mhm.
because of what he was saying in it, but it was the elements and it was how it made everyone feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So listening to like what we just listened to, I could sit there and enjoy that type of music all day long.
Speaking about the lyrics, I wanted to make sure I gave some time. I had some notes here about the lyrics and
Oh, for
just
sure.
how spectacular for me the writing was.
Yes.
Because I had the captions on and I
Yeah.
could read in English.
Yeah.
The first thing, and this sort of happened in the middle of the song, but he said, "I don't keep things in mind, I talk straight." And for
Yeah.
me, I like love this line. It's like so deep for me. Like, I'm gonna give it to you straight and I'm not gonna hold it in. And then there was this other line, the first singer, he's all like upset and he's angry. He's like, the devil roams in the skin of humans. And it's just like, this is not one of those songs that Coke Studio did that's like thousands of years old, that's super ancient. But this line right here, I feel like it could be in one of those songs,
Right.
like
Yeah.
it's like it brings me back like way, way back into time.
Yeah.
Mm. Huh.
And for me, I have all sorts of other like little notes here, but this idea of like what love is, um, really shines through, and the fact that there's a lot of confusion about what love is. And in this track, we talked about in the beginning when humans came to this world,
Right.
apart from love, they had no other belongings, right? And the idea that discovering love, generating love, having love, like a very pure love, was easier than it was now. And we could attribute that to the passing of time. We could attribute that to technology in all of its forms. But the fact that this very pure love has turned super transactional, and for me, I can really feel that, and it's not even necessarily again in the realm of romantic love. I think that even understanding what a heart-to-heart connection is, as they noted in the song, is very difficult these days to have that.
Mm.
But also in the song, they talk about sort of sacrificing yourself for the sake of the beloved, right? And for me, what I've been like doing a lot of study on like Lao Tzu lately, and it reminded me of like this idea of like Wu Wei, of flow state, right? Like, how do you know when love is real? You know when love is real when you sort of can enter into that flow state.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
and then also this idea that love and friendship is everything, right? It's more than romantic love. It can be platonic love. It can be it doesn't even have to be that deep. You can just feel it. And
Mm.
to always be on the lookout for that is super important, and reading the signs of when it might be lurking around. So
Mm.
these are just some of my thoughts here on the spectacular lyrics and again the delivery of this absolutely gorgeous song.
Star Shah, the first guy, I read that this is really his first song, and he's from an extremely tiny town in backwater Punjab. And he's channeling like, man, I don't want to push R. Kelly, but like R. Kelly the artist, not R. Kelly the person. When he used to do like these amazing like flows, the singing flows, he's channeling that. It's to me, it just blows my mind. Sorry, I invoked R. Kelly. I know I shouldn't, but just the
No,
artist was
He
so good
invoked,
though.
no,
he
you
invoked some double time too, and I was just like, what?
You know,
you can invoke R. Kelly at everyone. What he did was atrocious, but that don't take away from what he's done as an
the
artist. to
artist,
me.
yeah. For everybody else, yeah, I get it. That's what I was trying to articulate.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I'm trying to be defensive here. I'm sorry. These
I
things
think
yeah.
I was listening to what A. Billi was saying about her notes and like the whole love thing and kind of getting away from it a little, how music got away from it a little bit, like the essence of it. And I think it's a more sinister thing behind it, because like as all of these love songs coming out, then when other things kind of started to be more lucrative, especially in the hip hop and R&B community, that's what they put their backing behind. And so that's another reason why I'm glad too, with Coke and Pepsi and Nestle and everyone else saying, well, we're going to put money behind this artist that we think is good, because the record labels go and they put their money behind what makes money. And a lot of times it's not the love aspect of it. It's, oh, well, in hip hop, if you don't, shoot a person in the song, it's not going to sell.
Yeah.
They're scared to put their backing behind that. And my thing is like, well, you have the power. You have the power to bring exposure to the artist that you're putting out.
Yeah.
And these guys are just like, yeah, well, that's fine, but this is what we're working with over here.
Yeah.
And then when you have artists like, like you said, that first guy, he's coming out of a small town. There's always a saying that there's a guy in a small town that's 10 times better than Michael Jordan, but we'd never know.
Yeah.
And we'd never know because we have Michael Jordan, but this guy does not have the means or the exposure or the money or the scholarships to go to college the way Jordan did.
Yeah.
He'd never be found.
Yeah.
But he might be the GOAT.
Yeah.
Same with these artists.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Coke is giving them a platform, because
14 million views, not too bad for the past 2 weeks. Has been out now, 3 weeks.
beautiful.
Anyway, well, on that note, I'm gonna, until the next time, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, Melza, and of course, Billi, as usual. I really,
Always.
truly appreciate, your insights. They're so valuable, and I'm so glad we were able to preserve this.
Thank you guys for having me. Billi, it's very nice to meet you, and
Pleasure.
as always, it's great to talk to you and see you there. And thank you for having me.
Till the next time.
Till next time.
Ciao.